Instructional Designers in Offices Drinking Coffee is brought to you by Domino, makers of Domino One, the all-in-one, cloud-based e-learning authoring tool for teams. You can learn more at domino.com. Now, here's this week's episode.
There we go. Happy Wednesday morning, everybody.
Oh, too much dancing.
Have to take a deep breath all of a sudden. Hello, everybody. Looks like somebody's drinking bourbon this morning. I'm not sure, but
Hey,
I
Joe.
think it's that guy, Joe Gonchi. Oh, my gosh.
I'm
Joe,
eager to know, Joe, what brand of bourbon are we sipping on this morning?
And Joe, the rules are simple with drink and draw. You just drink when you want to.
You just drink. Yeah.
You know,
So here's your first cue, Joe. Time
Everybody
to take
drink.
a shot.
There it is.
I have Hawaiian Panola coffee whiskey spiked in here.
Ooh,
Wow.
very nice.
that's a lot of flavor going on.
Very nice. I don't think I have no spike. I have the donut house. You know, the Costco box that you
Yeah,
buy,
right.
or donut shop. That's what it is. Yeah.
No, it's great. Today's my anniversary, and it's the 15 year, and Crystal is the for the 15 years. So Tammy, my wife, gave me a brand new Crystal whiskey decanter with 2 glasses etched with my initials. I mean, come on. Very cool.
That's classy.
That is very
Yeah.
cool. I thought you were going to say she got you a crystal nugget head.
That would have been priceless.
Hard to make, too, I'm thinking. Holy smokes, everybody. Welcome to Drink and Draw. That's Kevin Thorne you hear talking about his wife and his anniversary. And by the way, happy anniversary, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And so we're going to talk about stuff today. Chris, what do you think we're going to talk about?
I don't know, Kevin. What are we going to talk about?
Oh,
Let's
I
just
don't know.
pass
I
the
know.
buck.
Just pass the buck. You know what? You know,
How to sharpen a pencil with
with a crystal decanter.
yeah, right?
Anyway, Kevin, before we jump in, we probably should get you to introduce yourself to folks. I know you've been with us lots of times, but there may be new folks in the crowd who haven't met you here before. So let's start there.
Let's start there. As Chris and Brent have teased, Mr. Nuggethead is my moniker. Sorry, I'm trying to get this thing running over here at the same time. Okay, hang on.
Yeah.
Yeah, been around the learning and development industry for about, I don't know, 20, 30 years maybe. I've lost count.
Indeed,
I
you
run a boutique shop called Nuggethead Studios, where we do everything from training and development, learning, design, experience design, animation, illustration, drawing, comics. We try to like visual design, graphic recording, all kinds of fun, creative things. And if you're not playing every day, then you're bored. So make sure you play.
Very cool. And Kevin, of course, you join us a lot because of those drawing talents, which hence the name of these types of
Hence
sessions,
the
Drink
name.
and Draw.
Yes.
Joe, that was your cue to drink if you're waiting for another cue. I mean, pace yourself, though. Joe, we don't want you to get in trouble this early in the morning.
Right.
Oh, excellent. And today we're
Who's
looking at sketchnoting diverse characters. We've done all kinds of different things on sessions with you, starting back with the visual alphabet and the basics of, the running theme being that it isn't necessarily that you had to go to, university to do an art degree in order to be able to take advantage of, tools, et cetera, to be able to draw. Whether that helps you in storyboarding a project, before you hand it off to other folks, or even just making simple characters to be able to keep the budget in check, for instance, if you
Right.
don't have a lot of bandwidth.
No, you're exactly right, Chris. This is not, just a disclaimer, this is not about drawing skill. This is not about you being an artist. This is about being able to communicate concepts or ideas. So if you're working with a large, subject matter experts, stakeholders, clients, whoever you're working with, whatever the team is, you're trying to communicate concepts. Whether they're trying to communicate them to you and they're having a hard time, you can collaborate. You use a whiteboard, you use a piece of paper, you can sit down together, you can do virtual like we're doing here, and you sketch out these ideas, and then you can start to see as things come together, especially when you're working with international audiences. I just finished a rather large project, instructional comic digital story in northern India. And you think, well, India, that's easy characters to identify with. But when you get into the old traditional Indian culture, when there's various different where different bindis have different meanings, different saris have different class cultural levels, and you really have to take your time to study the character, the culture, so that when you're drawing these characters or you're bringing these characters to life, you want to be you want to be correctly representative so that those learners in the audience can relate directly to those characters. And you don't want to offend at the same time. So it's another disclaimer here. This drawing diverse characters can and sometimes are controversial because you get the accusation of stereotypes. And we want to be careful in that we're not stereotyping a identity, but there are certain identities that are representative based on style. Either it's their dress, it's the headwear, it's the glasses, it's the beard. There's a number of things that different cultures wear in their style and their dress that we can quickly identify with, and that's not stereotyping. Stereotyping is a different argument or a different debate. So we just got to be careful with that, and it can be challenging to be respectfully representative, but at the same time not be stereotypical. So when we talk about drawing and things like, well, you can, I'm not a drawer, I'm not an artist. It's not about that. It's about representing and communicating concepts and ideas correctly. So with that, that's my disclaimer. I just want to throw that out.
We don't want any hurt feelings in the idiotic community, is what you're saying. So if anybody,
well, it's just respectfulness. You use the word, respectfulness, and I mean, folks in our space, fairly empathetic folks in general, and we're people. We care about people, and
Well, let's just start with the face. Let's just start there, and how we can determine so this is more about age and gender and things like that. And again, gender and identity, it's getting muddy to how do you represent that. So again, this is it could be controversial depending on your audience, but it's important that you do the research and the study. So when you start, you don't want to just put some stereotypical identities, that kind of thing. So anyway, let's get started, and I'll see if I can share some examples.
Sure thing.
Yeah. Well, we did kind of set the stage in the description and talking, even in our title, calling it Sketchnoting Diverse Characters. So, there's, with all of the DEI conversations and all that kind of stuff that's going on, and that everybody is trying to include and to be inclusive in their e-learning, it's important that we at least, try, even if we don't quite, understand. Maybe we are being stereotypical when we draw certain characters, but I think it's important when you put that in front of your stakeholders that you get that feedback, before you go live or before you send it. Maybe you did get something wrong. Doesn't mean you did it on purpose. It's just, maybe it's what you got from doing a quick Google search or something like that. Right. So, these are some of the issues that I think a lot of us might be dealing with or might start to be dealing with, since a lot of these programs are really, really hot programs right now, and that a lot of people are currently in the process of creating them or have created them. or in the process of looking to buy one. Let's say you need to, your manager is asking you to go buy, a stock, an off-the-shelf library of DEI courses and whatnot, right? You want to be able to check those and make sure that they didn't get it wrong too. You don't want to buy some products that way. So, learning how to draw them is one thing, but there's a lot of other reasons why understanding all of this is important. So I'm filling that air to give you a chance to get the board up and everything. But now that you're
It
on,
should be up. You're not,
it's
you're
all
not-
you.
Yep.
It's all you.
We're
Yeah.
good.
So go for it.
Oh, you see it? Okay. I'm
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's start with the head. We need a head. We can do a body, but then we don't want to run around with no head. So if you're following along, for those of you that can still hold a pencil correctly, Joe,
I did bring paper and a pencils or a pen. So I'm good.
so again, we just want to draw like an oval, right? So simple oval, couple dots. There we go. We've got a head.
All right.
Nothing more than that. I've got some notes on this other screen just to keep so I can go. So here's the thing is don't think any more of it. Just head and eyes. That's all we're doing. We're not doing nose, mouth, ears, anything right now. Just head and eyes. So we need shapes. So if you think of, sometimes there's a head that may have a little bit more of a square jaw, something like that. Females tend to have more of a narrower chin. And then we can do the opposite, kind of more like a nugget head shape. Or that kind of looks like the poo emoji, doesn't it?
You brought it up. None of us were thinking that.
Yeah, so just play around with different shapes. And this is how you start seeing, you can start see things, right? Put the eyes narrow the eyes, widen the eyes. Different things like this make a really long oval shape. Make a big wide shape this way. And now you start seeing character personalities come out of these shapes. And then from there, you can start saying, okay, what would this shape represent? And how can I use these in different ways? So anyway, so I don't want to get stuck on this because there's a lot we can do. We can definitely spend a couple hours doing all this. So that's first thing. Let me, I'll just make a layer here and hide that one. We'll start here. So now we've got a shape or a head shape. Let's add some hair. Let's start with varieties of hair when it comes to arguably, and again, this could be a debate, but arguably females have more hairstyles than male do, right? There's only so much you can do with a man's hair. Women have a lot of different type of hairstyles and different things. So anyway, let's play around with that.
And when you get to our age, you only have so much hair left to do.
Yeah, there's me. That's my hairstyle right there. So if you want to, let's say if you want to put a ball cap.
One straight line.
One straight line and throw it off the side. Now you've got a sideways ball cap. Who wears a sideways ball cap? Mostly children. You see a little boy or something, or a small kid wearing it that way. If you want to do something different with that ball cap, you can do the straight line, stop right there, then do an arc this way. So now you have a brim coming out the front. And I'm doing headgear. We were talking about hair. Let's do some hairstyles. Here's a really simple one. Just do it. Just kind of go arc up to the center, and then arc out to the side and make a loop. That parting in the center is probably the easiest one to do. You just start in the middle, draw two curves like this. So that's parting in the center. Now from here, we can do a number of things. We could put a circle here, and then like a little triangle off the side. Now we got a couple of, what do you call those, pigtails?
Mm-hmm.
Let's back that up. We'll keep the same part in the center. And now we could do something like that, where the hair comes down the back. There's what I mean by this is just play around with different things. Starts just very simple. There's no details here yet. We're just communicating concepts. So let's put this one back here. Now we want to do the same thing when we want a ponytail print. We do the same thing, and then just off to the side, a little bit like that. Or we can let me back that up a little bit. If you want to change the angle of that, so bring this one from way over here, and then a little one right there. So you kind of have that. I don't know where the part's a little different.
So that could be a face that's slightly angled, then turning off a little bit, looking off to the side.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Do the other way. Go this way, and then maybe there's a bun on the back. You can see really quickly we've started to create different personalities just by the hairstyle.
Where you were going with this when you first started it, but as soon as you did that bun, I noticed it obviously with the baseball cap and the one line, but as soon as you did that hair, the bun, like the subtle difference between the shape that makes it look like a ponytail versus the circle that makes the bun, immediately, and it's two totally different characters, different. Yeah. I don't want to be ageist, but
yeah, no, right. You're right. This could be a younger person, and this one could be an older person. And it's just simply the placement of the eyes, the height of the eyes, and we get to that. While we're there, let's talk about that for a minute. So this is a fun practice thing. So start here. Put your eyes right in the center, about like that. And then do the same thing, but this time I want you to drop the eyes down about right there. Can you tell the age difference between the two?
That did it.
So if we think about it, let me change colors so I can show you kind of what I'm talking about here. So if we have a line down the middle, and our eyes are about 3/4 of the way up our head. Our eyes are not in the center of our head. They're about 3/4 of the way up. So if we put eyes right here, this is so your typical adult, like 20 to 68 years old, somewhere around that area, right? A child, though, whoops, let's go back this way. Put that in. Now I'll go back this way. A child, though, is down here. Now, as we get older, almost, like Chris's age.
Nice. I'll take that. All right.
Then we get, it's longer, right? So we go like this. And then one of the things we could do, I'm gonna erase this part down here. Hang on. Erase this. The lines in an older person start to appear where we start seeing definitive lines, right?
Yeah.
Right?
It's me. Holy cow.
So the lines make a difference. And the other thing with the difference between age too, so if we took about like for instance, a baby, the ears are down, right? They're small and they're down. And that's simple. That's easy. And then we can just maybe do a curly Q on the head. And now we can clearly communicate that's a young child or a baby of some sort. And it's gender neutral, which is even better because now I can just say, hey, that's a baby. I want to communicate a baby. I'm not communicating a male baby or a female baby or anything. I'm just communicating a baby at that point. As we get older, obviously we grow, our body parts tend to grow. But then when we get older, our heads, we shrink, right? But our ears are cartilage; they don't change. So if you ever saw it, say, "Wow, that guy's got some really big ears." He doesn't have a big ears. He has the same size ears as he had his whole life. His head shrunk. That's the only difference. And it's the funniest thing. I love seeing that because I look at like um, like my dad. He's 88 years old. And I say, wow, I never realized my dad had such big ears. But it's not that at all. He's had the same size ears. It's just we droop. Anyway, so that's one way to kind of play around with that. Let's keep going. We can do this all day. I can do this all day. We talk about let's play around with some different. Instead of making the whole circle, just make a loop here like this, because now we're going to use this top area as hair. So you remember that the female thing where we parted in the center? Let's do that again. Let's come past these two lines. Now we've got all this area here to play with hairstyle. So very simply, we can just do something like that, put a couple of earrings in there. And now we have another hairstyle. Same thing. We'll do this with a male. We'll give it more of a square or a, come on, pay attention. We'll do a square. But this time, we're going to kind of go up like this, down like that. And then we'll do kind of a Brent hairstyle. Like that. What I encourage you to do is communicate these faces as minimal lines as possible. If you're spending too much time with details, just be loose. No mouths, noses right now. I mean, you can do a nose with a little hook, a little hook like that. That could even be the mouth. But then if you want a mouth, right, it doesn't have to be. You can add the details like that if you want, but it's not necessary to communicate. Remember, it's just about communicating an idea or a concept. We're not getting into the drawing side. So you've got some other ideas. Here's another one. Let's give it like this. So whatever your chin, right, the bottom is the chin. So you can do a square chin, a round chin, an oval chin, whatever kind of chin you want. Play around with different shapes down here at the bottom, right? So we have this kind of chin. We can do that kind of chin. We can do this kind of chin. You could just do this. These are all the different chin ideas that I want to play with. So start with the chin, and then up here, stop right there, and then right at the top, and then now this is the hairstyle. So we can do something like this. There's no rule to this, no rule at all. Come back this way. And then here's that bun again. This is more traditional Asian kind of hairstyle. Let's see what else we got. Let's do some. Like a monocle.
Now that's getting very specific. I think
right?
A monocle denotes a certain.
Yeah. So, I mean, it might be like it goes back to that stereotypical thing, right? But what are you trying to communicate? A professor, a wise adversary, a villain. I mean, there's a number of different things or labels we can attach to this character. But this is just one concept. So you start there and say, okay, I want to play around with that concept and come up with different styles. Same thing with like a mad scientist. Let's like this. They're
So
that's
that's
bozo. That's bozo. Right there.
I think just the eyes with the bushy eyebrows and the hair did it. The circle for the nose was enough to throw it into bozo zone.
Yeah. You're right, bozo zone.
But
All right, let's
so-
play. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So how, if we're talking diverse characters,
Yep.
I can only imagine some of the requests that you might get for creating certain types of characters. How do we go from the basics, what we just did,
Yeah, right.
to having some options?
Okay, so let's start with a lot of it has to do with headgear and dress. One way to do this one, and I'll let the audience can tell me what I'm drawing here. And let's see, we need.
Okay, this is definitely going to be worth talking about. The corporate Memphis. I was curious. I thought she was just joking when she said corporate Memphis because Kevin had a Memphis shirt on, but it's actually a thing.
Corporate Memphis, what? No, it's University of Memphis alumni.
I know, but she's
What?
mentioning the corporate Memphis style. Of
Oh, yeah, the
characters.
Memphis style. Yeah. Let's go back. There's a Memphis. Never heard it really. It's just the Memphis art style. It's a
Yeah.
very eclectic, kind of fun style. Very bright colors. We've seen these characters. If you click on the link that she shared, they've got an image of one of those characters. We see a lot of that in marketing now, where you've got really tiny heads. It's like a tiny head with big flowing hair, and then really big arms. Something like that. It's a really unique style. I don't play with it much. I haven't played with it much, but anyway.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to distract us. I just
No,
seemed
I mean
like-
there was some argument with this style first started to become really popular. There was some argument that purple people does not make your characters diverse. Right? Just because you change everybody to purple and blues and teals and greens does not make diversity, right?
Yeah. So
But yeah, go ahead.
okay,
I'm sorry.
go. Well, so explain the character you've drawn,
With a turban.
right?
Yeah. So then if we want to do something like with a Muslim, more of a Muslim, like with a skull cap, which I can't remember the name of the skull cap. But if we do, let's see, it kind of goes this way. And please, I'm not being disrespectful if I'm not doing this correctly, but and the one thing about this style is there's a beard, but there's no mustache. So we can kind of just do a beard like so. Right, just two different styles, but the headdress and the beards, and again, we can get into that. Well, that's stereotypical. Well, no, not really, because the beards are distinctive of that personality and that culture. The way they wear their beards, the length of their beards, the status of their beards. It's a very. Let's use it. Let's use another a completely separate example. Tribal tattoos in the Polynesian culture. Those tattoos have a story. It's like a royal crest. A royal crest is your family's history, and it tells a story of your family and your lineage. Well, tribal tattoos are in a lot of ways the same way. they have a historical lineage of that particular line, that family's line, and that's what those tattoos. So if you were to draw a character with tribal tattoos, you're not being stereotypical, you're drawing culture, which identifies that character in that region, in that culture. Does that make sense, the way I was explaining that? The Serbi, what attack? I can't pronounce that. Takia? Is that how I pronounce? I'm sorry.
Maybe Serbi can give us a phonetic pronunciation, a phonetic
So
spelling.
let's look at Indian head covers for females. So we'll go like this. Now, here's a very distinctive way. So we're gonna. So again, this is not being stereotypical, but the Indian culture, hair color is very dark brown or black, is the hair color, and then put a bindi there, and then the head covering, or go like this, and then maybe something like this. Can you identify with where that particular character is? It's female, it's Indian, we know the culture. That's all we need to do. We don't have to go any farther than that. Another very similar style. And again.
Oh, hey, Kevin, I think you got it pretty close.
What's that?
The pronunciation.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Two types of dress, and then the other one we could do maybe a little bit a little faster here. We'll do something like this. And I think, there's jewels that, and again, I'm not as versed in the culture as I'd like to be. I mean, I just spent 3 years drawing a bunch of these characters, but there's like jewels. And here, all I'm doing is just using the eraser and coming back up through there. And then this one is, I'm turning sideways, so I got to straighten myself up here. Something like that. Well, maybe not straight line. Give her a little bit of a shoulder. There we go. That helpful? Then we've got anybody know what that one is?
Well, it certainly has a Gandhi-esque flavor.
Yeah, it's like a
bat.
Buddhist.
Yep.
Buddhist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Kevin, when the particular project that you mentioned a couple of times, I mean, you would be using this type of simple drawing to get started as like a storyboarding element, and then working forward to refine the characters more based on feedback loops with your client team and that kind of approach.
Very much so.
Yeah,
very much so.
And given that it was a comic kind of thing, and those, if you can picture a comic, sometimes there's like close-ups, and there's obviously poses, etc., beyond just sort of characters standing, etc.
Yeah.
How much refining, I guess, goes into that in terms of like
I'll show you
feedback and such.
So I'll show you exactly what you're talking about. You just quick lines. All you need is it doesn't have to get any more difficult than that. I'm just putting a character in place. If I need, let's look at disability and age, different things. So same thing. If I have a character, something like this. Now, elderly people tend to have more of a forward-leaning posture. Now, you can exaggerate that. A lot of times, if we exaggerate it, we do something like that. Just to indicate we have an elderly person walking on a. And I mean, we've done this before, but a lot of it has to do with the center of gravity, right? So our head and our stick figure body. If you're just wanting to do stick figures, same thing. We just want the center of gravity is they're leaning over. So if we draw the dotted line, this is the center of gravity right here. So what we do is we take our body, but it's got to come back down and anchor, right? So we're not going to fall backwards or so on and so forth. So if we draw the body this way, but then we got to make sure the legs are coming back, and then we've got the cane over here, right? So you get
it's almost like you're basing like almost like a tripod in the sense that that it is structurally structural integrity, I guess, to the visual.
Well, yeah, right.
Yeah,
your spine is a structure.
Yeah,
the structural integrity of your spine. Let's see, what else do we want to do? Then there's let's say we've got somebody racing in a wheelchair, so they're leaning forward as well, and like this. And then we got another little wheel here. Put some motion lines right there. They're speeding along, and that's her hair going by. So that's a quick sketch right there.
Mm-hmm.
But I can communicate. Hey, we've got a character who's in a wheelchair race. It's a female. What does that look like? So we can conceptually sketch it out, really, really loose like this, because that all we're doing is trying to engage in a conversation at this point. We're at the very, very early rough concept stages. So we're not in the refining, detailing, all of that. We just need to communicate sort of a storyboard. What's that? And then, let's get rid of this. And again, I'm just conceptually. So let's say, she's in a race and she's racing along, right? So then the next one, she's right here. This. And
that's cool.
Like we can do the She just won the race, right? So now we're starting to tell a story, right? She's racing along, she wins the race.
I mean, that middle one, it's the arms, the position of the arms that are communicating the message that she won the race there, right? Yeah.
Throwing your arms up. So those are things that we just, and a lot of what, and this takes practice and practice and practice, because clearly I have not lived in or experienced these other cultures. So that's when you have to spend a lot of time in that environment with your audience, if you will, because they're going to tell you the stories that you may not know. That's, the different aspects of living in those environments. And then you can start to pick up cues in different things. Some of the things that we learned on the Big Indian Project were, one in particular was really kind of not, so it was surprising, but not in a, oh my gosh, it never occurred to me. But in this particular region of northern India, we had drawn where one of the characters was using a pen to write notes on a clipboard. A simple scene. The pen that we chose to draw as the artifact or the tool in that drawing was a ballpoint click type pen, like a refillable where you unscrew it, put in a refill. And the feedback's like, well, we can't use that pen. It's like, why not? It's just because we don't have those pens. We can't get refillables, so we can't buy them here. We only have disposable pens. And I think, wow, that little fine detail, because if the audience will look at that and say, well, that doesn't represent me because I would never use that pen. So it doesn't necessarily have to do with the actual character in the dress. It has to do with their environment. The tools, for instance, when we talk about wheelchairs, what time are we getting at here?
We're
getting closer.
Yeah.
Getting closer.
But one of the things about wheelchairs, we had drawn a wheelchair because it was a hospital clinic setting. We had drawn a wheelchair that had the IV pole that stuck out the back of the typical hospital chairs that we see today. It's like, oh no, that's we can't use that wheelchair. So we had to get a lot of photos, a lot of photography reference photos. What do the rooms look like? What do hospitals look like? What does the bed look like? What do supplies look like? What do nurses look like? I mean, we had to have somebody on the ground in India basically taking a library of photos for us just for little detail references. So if you get into those types of projects, then you might have to spend a day taking photographic references of things and you have to look beyond your own biases and your own experiences, because a lot of times drawing these things is based on my own experience. It's the only things I know how to draw or what I've experienced in my life. So obviously I've got prejudices and biases about things that's all I know. I mean, we're all human. That's admit it or not, but it's true, right? So what we have to do is step outside of that and get ourselves into a different culture and into a different environment that we have never experienced before and try to see it through their eyes. And if we can't do that, then we need a lot of photographs and we need a lot of help. Knowledgeable people that can guide us on how to create those images.
Hey, while we're starting to wrap it up, maybe you could sketch us out today by doing somebody with dreadlocks or braids and showing the difference between somebody happy and positive versus someone going through a rough time.
Okay. Dreadlocks and braids. Okay.
And
those are both requests from the chat, by the way.
Oh, were they? Okay, great.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go. I'm thinking Bob Marley.
And while you're doing that, we'll remind everybody to sign up for the Idiotic LinkedIn group. If you haven't joined us over there, join us in the LinkedIn group, and I will drop in a link. And maybe Chris can tell us about our sponsor.
Oh, yeah, our sponsor. Well, our sponsor, Domino Learning Systems, who Brent and I both work for, making all this happen. And we were having a conversation in the green room about the possibilities of taking some of these kind of character ideas actually and using them in our scenario builder within Domino One, our e-learning authoring tool. And I think Brent's going to be like whipping out the pen and pencil and carrying out some of that. So
I'm gonna give it a shot.
Um,
use my skills learned today.
Exactly. Yeah. So if it's of interest at all, I'll drop a chat. I'll drop a link into the chat there. You can always sign up for a free trial. Give it a whirl.
Indeed.
Very
We
cool.
also have the link at the bottom of the screen, the green link, the green big button at the bottom of the screen. You can click on that, and that'll take you right to the Domino site as well. I'm purposefully not launching the music yet, folks, because I want to give Kevin a chance to get far enough along here. So yeah, you don't drop out just yet on us. What? Sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
There you go. Dreadlocks, I mean, it's this, just do this.
And I'm guessing braids would pretty much be the same thing. Like if you did of a Shirley Temple braid would be like what you just drew there, right? Like a whole bunch of those.
Well, no, let's see. Braids are, think of rope.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So we've got like this, and then I go like that. Now watch. So you see that little hook right there?
Yeah.
So little S. So then you start in the middle of that curve, and then you draw the same one again, like that.
Clever.
That's one way to do it.
What's fascinating is I would see that actually as a set of circles that you kind of connected, but I now see the flowing of it as, the S curve.
Well, I'm kind of going fast, but if you kind of go like that.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't have to, like the triple, and I don't know if I can do it right now, but let's see, there's this one, and then you got to go this way. I'd have to think through this, but something, there you go, like that.
Yeah, that's working.
There's another way of doing it. So again, you're just communicating the concept. It's a braid, so then when you get down here, do the little knot, whatever, like that.
And
what was the other one? Dreadlocks.
A person being happy and positive versus somebody going through a rough time. And I'll echo Susan's remarks that Kevin always gives me hope that I can create rudimentary sketches. Kevin gives us all hope. That's why we bring him back.
Happy and positive. That's an emoji, right? So, and what was the other one? Sad and depressed?
Just going through a rough time.
Going through a rough time. You typically, when you're going through a rough time, think of the posture, right? You got your shoulders are down, your head's down. You don't have the energy, so you tilt the head forward, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we'll put the nose down a little lower, closed eyes, sad face, and then whatever hairstyle. And then make sure you put the ears down here too. Now remember, last thing, and I know the music's on.
No, you got about a minute, so you're good.
So when we draw that line for the eyes, and we draw that line for the mouth, proportionately, the edge of the mouth lines up with the center of the eye, and the ears go from the pupil to the mouth, proportionately. So if you can remember those simple tips right there, proportion, then you can tilt, turn, drop them, up them, and then move them around. Start there. Yeah, fun stuff.
Very cool.
Perfect. This has been great as always. Thank you so much, Kevin. You are the drink and draw master, and we appreciate everything you do. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And
we'll have to do
chat,
rotoscoping next time.
Oh, very cool. And thanks to everybody who joined us in the chat. Great ideas and things going on there, and hope everybody has a great, happy, and positive rest of the day here today. And we'll see you next time, gang.
Yeah, get out there and sketch something, everybody.
Joe, I hope you're still doing okay with the drinking part.
Hey, CJ.
Thanks, everybody. You guys are awesome. Adios, everybody.
Laters.